When I first started my hard-hitting research on Ephara, I quickly realized I have no idea what a polis is. Based on her art, I'm assuming a polis happens to be this city that she's dumping a jug of nightmare fuel on. But accuracy is important, so I hit up my local Google machine to see if I could figure out what the heck is going on here. While on my way to uncover information that I probably should have learned in school, I decided to take Google's suggested detour and check out what the freak a Polish is. Apparently, this is what the freak a Polish is.
Wow.
Turns out, my hunch was right. A polis is basically a Greek city-state. Thanks, Wikipedia. There are a lot of gods out there, and some are a little more powerful than others. Gods of death, victory, gods that like to party and cause storms and slaughter things. While we have all this harvesting and slaughtering and partying going on, everybody seems to forget about good old Ephara. That's why I'm here, to remind you why the god of the polis deserves a spot in your commander lineup. These are my 5 reasons why Ephara, god of the polis, is underrated. Ephara thrives on enter the battlefield triggers, so imagine if there was a creature out there that could spend the entire game leaving and re-entering the battlefield. Allow me to introduce you to Saltskitter, Ephara's best friend and an absolute all-star in any God of the Polis deck. Anytime one of your opponents brings a creature into play, Saltskitter will briefly leave the battlefield and then re-enter it at the end of your turn. And if your opponents decide not to play creatures, you can just flash some of your own in and flicker the skitter anyway. Drawing a bunch of cards is always awesome. But what's also cool is abusing cards like Cathar's Crusade to power up your flash friends to unbelievable levels. Now, every single time you play a creature, not only are you drawing cards off of the Saltskitter, you're also putting 1/1 counters all over your board. Who doesn't love drawing ridiculous amounts of cards and making superpowered creatures at the same time? Unfortunately, we might not always have creatures in our hand to cast. That's why we have friends like Mistmeadow Witch or Eldrazi Displacer who can flicker the creatures we already have on the battlefield. The potential to seriously break some creatures' ETBs is really high, especially with the help of guys like Deadeye Navigator. And if you really want to make people suffer, Brago, Cloudstone Curio, and Conjurer's Closet are fantastic salt inducers. Great! We have a bunch of blinky things, but what creatures exactly should we be flickering over and over again? The Rashad and Jerk Faces are a great place to start. Blink these guys in over and over again, and guess what? Your opponents are going to sacrifice every single permanent on their board. Or you could enlist the help of Reflector Mage, Lavinia of the 10th, or Azor the Lawbringer to really send a message to your playgroup that plebs will not be tolerated.
I am the law! Drop your weapon!
Or maybe you want to make an unstoppable legion of golems, thopters, and soldier tokens. Well, don't let your memes be dreams. Make those memes come true. Or you can be Captain Moneybags and show how much more you have to spend than the rest of your playgroup and spam creatures like Recruiter of the Guard or Snapcaster Mage to get fancy swords and ridiculously overpowered spells on repeat. Ah, hate bears, these terrible little creatures that make your opponent's lives absolutely miserable. Hate bears come in many shapes and sizes, but their primary goal is to make people salty. Hate bears should only be reserved for the most cutthroat of playgroups. Taxing your opponents, preventing them from casting spells, and just in general, making their magic lives miserable is not a great way to make friends. It is, however, a fantastic way to lock down the board and win games. If you choose to follow the path of the hate bears, remember, you will be targeted. Learn to embrace the Ephara hate. Expect it. No need to worry. With Ephara's card draw power and the hate bear army on her side, you'll be back to locking down games in no time flat. Deadeye Navigator is one of those creatures that Commander players love to hate. Being able to flicker a creature for only 2 mana is downright ridiculous. It certainly doesn't help matters that creatures like Peregrine Drake and Palancron exist. Pair either of these behemoths with Deadeye and you've got yourself infinite mana. You can also turn our blubbery friend the Great Whale into an infinite untapped powerhouse. Who doesn't love a good whale friend? With our infinite mana and enter the battlefield triggers, we can use spells like Stroke of Genius or our commander Ephara to draw out every single card in our deck. Pair that with Labman and you've got yourself a win. You can also use a card like Altar of the Brood to make all of your opponents mill out their entire libraries. We can also make use of Recruiter of the Guard, who will let us go and dig for our good friend Timestream Navigator. With a good deal of mana and a little bit of luck, you can cast Timestream Navigator, give her haste, and use her ability right then and there. However, she'll be put on the bottom of your library. That's why we have flicker friends like Eldrazi Displacer, who will let us flicker Recruiter of the Guard and tutor up Timestream Navigator as many times as we want. This janky little combo is cool, but technically it doesn't make you win the game, it just sets you up with infinite turns. So we want to make the most of those turns and get to the win either through combat damage or with the help of our good friends Deadeye Navigator and Peregrine Drake. Azorius is a color scheme filled with unique and powerful commanders. The color scheme is well known for its brutally efficient Voltron commanders and its ultra oppressive stacks and control strategies that will make you regret your life decisions. There are a few exceptions to this, like Kanji for example, who's great if you really want to play bird tribal. But Ephara is in a category all her own, combining the powerful flicker and card draw effects of blue with the creature-friendly aggressiveness of white. So next time you see an Ephara on the battlefield, you better not take her lightly, because there just might be a Salt Skitter waiting to make your life miserable. I want to hear from you, deck builders. Who else is underrated and why? Let me know in the comments. And as always, you know what's up. Stay classy, deck builders. I'll see you next time.